Hey, here's your heads up to this longer podcast. It's hashtag 124, which is like a part 2 to hashtag 123, all about the buckets and the wheels and the pillars. And we're going to go into more detail now. More detail so you can start to have a richer life. A richer life. And that's what we all deserve. That's what we're allowed to have, by the way. So have a listen.
Warning. 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 You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hiya, Paul here, and I hope you're feeling really well. Really well, and I want to just thank you before we start for listening. And this podcast is like the part 2 of hashtag 123, and all about the wheels, the buckets, and those pillars of life. You remember? We talked about whether you're making progress in one side of your development, your life, or maybe there's other parts of your life which aren't quite up to where you want them to be, and you're out of kilter. When we said about the wheel of life. When that goes round fast, well, if it's bumpy, and it needs to be smoothed out so we have a more balanced ride. Those buckets, those 3 buckets that we need to keep filling because they just keep leaking out. The more we live, the more we learn, the more we need to fill up those buckets. And then you've got the 5 pillars we can keep, a real steady table, as it were, of what we want. Now, did you do it? Did you do one of those exercises, whether it's the wheel of life, the 3 buckets or pillars, to know where, or to explore where you think you're a little bit maybe deficient or you need bolstering up, and the other areas of your life which maybe you're excelling? It's not all negative, If you didn't, well, you can still listen to this, of course, but I'd like you to do that exercise because it will make so much more sense to you. And what is the point of, when you think about it, really wanting something, knowing something, and not doing? The doing, the action, is the being, isn't it? We can know everything, but with that knowledge, if we don't do it, that knowledge is worthless. So let's find out a little bit more about ourselves, where we're excelling, where we're just maybe midlining it, and where we do need some more help. And when you do that, where have you decided you need more help with, more bolstering, more skills maybe, or just a bit more concentrated time in that area of your life? And notice, maybe you could just notice which goals in that area of your life maybe you need help with. Where do your goals fit? Because you could find that the goals that you have and you're not really making that much progress on, could find that that's in the same area of your life, and I think you will, where you need a little bit more help. And it's only sometimes just a little bit more help. Now, you see, I want to tell you a very quick story which really brought me right down to knowing that there's just one little change can make all the difference. Because you see, I had updated my computer to the latest version of Mac, or one of them anyway, and I'd already got a wonderful new mic, as I told you before. So I got an expensive mic, the new version of Mac. I bought a new little processor thing for the mic to make it even better. And then I updated the recording program I use. So I'm all ready to rock and roll. And guess what? It wasn't working properly. Now, how can that be? And everyone I talked to was getting really technical and saying, well, it's obviously you haven't got enough processing power in your computer now because, there's just not going on. And even looked on forums and they were saying the same type of thing. And you've got to do this and got to do that. And well, yes, I had updated. I got the latest stuff, but I already cleaned out my computer as well. So there wasn't a lot of stuff going on. That didn't seem to make sense. So what I did was, as you do, I downgraded the software I was using because I go back to the one that always worked. And guess what? That didn't work either. So it must be my computer. Everyone kept telling me, it's just your computer. They're just not working anymore. And we checked this and we checked that, and I put questions up to forums and I didn't get any answers, and I'm getting really frustrated, really down. And then I had a chat with somebody, my son, who had got the same setup. I said, I bet you can't do what I'm trying to do. And he said, yes, I can. I said, well, do it in front of me. And he showed me on his screen, and he was doing it perfectly. And then we just looked at a few preferences. And there was one thing that was wrong, or one thing which was different. One small thing. And I just changed that one thing. And guess what? It all worked perfectly. And, we can get overwhelmed by all the technology, all the information, the noise, when things are so simple. And it brought me back to think of, it is just the simple things, and it is just the baby steps, and it is just one small thing can make a difference. If you have that persistence to find the simple changes. If it was easy, how would it be? So again, when you look at this exercise, it's, I've got to do a whole exercise. Yeah, it's not going to take you too long. It's going to be pretty easy. And it'll give you an indication of where to look. And where you're going to look, you're going to find something simple. So first of all, when we do this, I want you to just look, first of all, at the goals that you may be not achieving, and also the goals that you are achieving. Let's look at the differences. So you might find the goals that you're really slamming out of the park, that they're in that bucket, that section of the wheel of life, or one of those pillars that are really high up, really supporting you. And the one that you're not getting so good results on, well, that may be the one where you need a bit more help, a little bit more effort. I don't know. I think that's what you'll find though. But first of all, I want to look at this generally. I know we talk about goals and being specific, but I want to look generally first. So first of all, what area needs increasing to make it more balanced, to make it more smooth, to make it fuller? So even before we start a plan, I want you to look at that area of your life and just, say, well, if I'm going to improve this, let's start with the whys. Let's find out, why is this important to me? Why is this area important to me? This area of my life? And you might find, well, actually, it hasn't been that important to me. Well, there you go. Now you found the reason why you're not putting your effort there. Now you might say, Paul, that's a flash of the bleeding obvious. If I'm not interested or it's not important to me, then of course I won't put effort into this area of my life. Now the thing is, say it was health. Any of those sections of your life, any of those buckets, any of those 5 pillars, they are important. They have to be important because, without one of them, you're going to get off kilter. Now, one way to look at this is to say, well, okay, what are the ultimate consequences of not putting my effort into this? And if it was for health, just for example, you think about, well, what happens when I do everything else and I don't have good health? Well, the first thing is, well, I'm going to get ill. It is detrimental to everything that I want to support. So if I haven't got good health, I can't succeed in my work to put my effort in because my energy levels will be low. If I'm not interested in my health, how can I really partake in my family life, looking after my kids, being that example to them? How can I have a long life? And then it comes back. It's just, and whilst it hasn't been important, it doesn't mean to say that it isn't important to you. You've just lost focus, I think. So it's not important to me at this moment, but it is going to be important. And then you can ask yourself, well, why is it important? Why is health important to me? Why would health be important to me if you have to change it slightly? And it could be then you look at those other areas of your life and you can say, well, with good health, I'm going to be not the perfect partner, but I'm going to be a better partner. I'm going to be a better husband, a better wife, because I'm full of health. I can then support. I can be around people. I can just be a real positive person because I'm in good health. I'll look good. I won't need, I won't get ill because I'm in good health. I'll be able to put all the energy into my work, which will, bring me high self-esteem maybe. It would give me financial success, which again will help my family, will help myself. We're all about getting, well paid for what we do. There's no harm in getting good rewards. Riches, a rich life can include, obviously, getting paid well. having some material things in your life, a good house, a nice car. Yeah, they're fine. That's not a problem at all, providing it's in balance, it's in harmony. So start to ask the question, if it's not important to you, what are the consequences of it not being important? And if it is important to you, but you're still not doing it, just ask yourself the question, then why is it important to me? Why is this area of my life important to me? And notice and look for, as we said before, look for the away froms. And good health might be important to me because I don't want to get ill like X or Y or someone in my family. Well, that's moving away from illness. And you'll only ever do enough for when you feel reasonably okay. That's where you'll stop. It's like a hot stove principle. You can't put your hand on a hot stove because it'll burn. But as you lift it further away, it gets acceptable. It gets okay. You can leave it in that heat, but you're never going to take your hand away, which you should do. So think about the whys. And if you do get a negative and away from, which I think you'll probably find something like that if you're not succeeding, you're going to find there's going to be a small belief there or an experience that you just need to change. And all you have to say is, so, okay, I've got this and away from. We're not going 100% towards the goal of, keep the example of health, going towards good health. I'm only going so far away from something else. If it was career, why is career important to me? Because I want to have a good financial future so I can share it with my family and friends so I never get poor again. Oh, never get poor. There's your away from. And all you have to say is, well, what's positive about this? What can I learn from this? And how can I make this positive? How can I make this a thing that is really important to me for the best positive reasons? So what will it allow me to do? What will it allow me to create? What connections will I be able to have? And as you do this, you're changing your internal values. And this is not just a thinking exercise. I'm sorry, but we do need old Jenny Journal out, because if you just think it, yeah, it's going in, but it won't stay there. Or it can stay there, but sometimes you get your next thought and it's pushed out. But if you write it down, first of all, you're thinking about it. You've got internal dialogue. You've got muscle memory. As you write with your pen, your pencil, you can come back to it. It stays there. But you're learning and talking about it and visualizing it as you write. And that's such a powerful, powerful thing to do. I can't express this any more than that. Well, I could, but it's so powerful to write things down. Have your Jenny Journal, because when you make that breakthrough and you write that new positive belief, you can write it down in bold colors, big caps, everything. And you go, yeah, this is it. So once you start to notice where you need that help, where you are struggling maybe with an away from, a negative belief or experience about an area of your life, now we can get more specific, because we do need that wonderful word of specificity. So let's look at the specific area of your life you'd like to make more impact in. You'd like to create more of. You'd like to just boost it up so that wheel runs more smoother. Those buckets get more equal, or those pillars get stronger. And one of the things you can do is you can just say, well, if I did, and let's take health again, if I did put more effort into or allocate more of my time to creating a more healthy body, a more healthy mind, maybe how would that affect other people in my life? And if there's a negative, all you have to do then is think, well, actually, how can I mitigate this? What could I do that would change this negativity? And we're not forcing, as it were, the positives, but we want to learn from the negatives. We also want to learn from the positives, but we want to learn from the negatives so they've done their job. We've listened to them. We've learned from them. They can now disappear. So we're now just looking more specifically in that area and just saying, well, by improving this, what is going to happen? The effect of others, the effect of other areas of my life, the other areas on that wheel, the other two buckets, the other four pillars. What's going to happen to them? And once you start to realize that the consequence of you putting a little bit more effort into this area is going to make a dramatic difference to the others as well. And it only has to be that little box we've ticked or didn't tick. That one little thing that will change the way you act, change the way you are in that one particular area of your life will create such an impact on the other. So as you bring up one, you're actually making the rest richer and fuller. Now, how do you go about doing this? Once you've decided, yeah, I want to do something about this area of my life. Well, here's the thing. We have to do a plan, don't we? So look at that area and then decide, where do you want to be? What is your goal? What is your outcome? Let's set something that is measurable. Remember that SMART thing: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time it so we can measure it. And once you do that, there's also the hypnosis track. The hypnosis track at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. They're all there for you. I've got one called Setting Your Outcome, an achievable outcome. And it goes through all the wonderful steps you can make to make sure that you've got a plan. You've got the resources you need. You've got all the things. And if you know that you're deficient in the resources you need, you're going to where to find them. Who can you go to find that help, that mentorship? Who can teach you? Where in the past have you had it before, and there may be a different context that you can bring into this context, and then decide what are the baby steps. So once you know what the outcome is, you know what the goal is, you know what it feels like, that feeling of the wish fulfilled. Remember Neville Goddard? And when you have that feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can then create the baby steps that are going to take you towards that outcome. And the thing is, you have to take that action. And how are you going to take that action? Well, one way is if you use a diary, and I suggest diaries are good. Play with them in any way. My diaries are nothing like the diaries you get printed out. It's just a plain piece of paper, or it's a pad. And every day, that becomes my daily diary. And every week, I do a double page, what I'm going to be doing in the week. And you commit into that diary. This is what I'm going to be doing, and making sure they're baby steps. So you can measure the achievement. These are the little boxes that are going to make this huge difference. And you're also going to have a reflection time at the end of that week, maybe end of that month, to notice not only how you've achieved what you've achieved and how far you're measuring towards this outcome, this goal, but what are the effects on those other areas of your life, those other buckets, those other pillars. And if you want to, the other part you can commit is to tell those who only need to be told. Not everyone, because I think sometimes that's a cop-out. You just tell everyone, and if you don't, they don't say anything. They go, oh, well, that's what happens in life. That just fulfills their belief of not doing what they're doing. But if there's someone who you need support from, tell them, because that support might be just understanding that, yes, I will be away for an hour a week, an hour a day, half an hour a day. I need 20 minutes to myself to meditate. Once they understand that and the reason why you're doing it, you will get that support. You get that buddy. Even if they're not doing it with you, they're supporting you by giving you that free time, by maybe taking a few of the demands off you. So you just have to explain the reasons why you're doing it for you and how it may impact them. And then remember what we did on the podcast #23, those wheels, the buckets and the pillars. We looked at the emotions and the beliefs that you had in the areas of your life that were really going well, because you were using different beliefs. I'm guessing they're positive beliefs at the identity level. You were using positive emotions. You were accessing some really good skills and using some really good behaviors. You made a note of those. So which one or more than one would help you to achieve this goal? And as you commit to this, you write it down. And if you want, you can email me if you want that type of buddy, just to say, by writing it down, these are the things I'm going to be doing, Paul. Because you're putting out, and I'm somebody who's going to be there for you. And then you just commit to doing this. But here's the thing. You don't just commit to doing the things that are going to improve that area of your life, that bucket, that pillar. I also want you to commit to looking at the areas which you are succeeding. Because as you look at those and you continue to put the effort in there as well, because you're doing it easily, aren't you? That's the thing. You've been doing it. And as you exceed on that, the energy of success is going to also ripple out into this area that you're committed to now, the area that you're trying. And I hate that word trying, but let's grab that. The area that you're going to achieve. Come hell or high water, you are going to get that outcome because you've set your intention, you've committed, you've got those baby steps, but you've also coming with that belief, that skills, those behaviors from the area of your life that you've succeeded in the past, and also you're going to be using the energy of the things that you're doing well. When you do that, I guarantee you're going to find all areas of your life are going to change for the positive, for the better. The ripples of change go far and wide. Every time I work with a client, I know that whilst they're working on one particular context, one issue, I know when they resolve that issue, other areas of their life are going to get better too. They can't not get better. Has to get better. And this is that richness I'm talking about. The results of getting this is a rich life. Rich in monetary rewards, rich in emotional rewards, rich in physical rewards, rich in, well, anything you can think of. Any section of your wheel of life, any of those buckets, any of those pillars, the experiences you have, the goals that you're going to start setting again because you now have that feeling of success. And now I guess at the moment I'm making that sound really easy, and I do know that it's not easy, because if it was easy, every bugger would do it. And if it was easy, well, we wouldn't be having to do it because we'd have done it already. But the thing is, it's not hard. It's not difficult. You just have to get that intention to the outcome, knowing what you're going to achieve, knowing how it's going to affect your life, and get that feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then it becomes really easy, because once you've started, it just spreads and your energy is there. Serendipity just happens for you. Coincidences just happen because you're making them. You're making them for yourself, and you're the only person who can. And if you're the only person who can, then you've got to do it, haven't you? Yeah, of course you have. Now, are you going to do it? Are you going to look at it and really go for it? Because I think you will. Just have to get over that one little hurdle of going, it all makes sense, Paul. I'm going to do it. No, I've started. I've committed to doing this. I'm going to do it in my diary. Now I'm going to look at these wheels, the wheel of life. I'm going to look at which bucket I need to top up. I'll notice which pillar is not quite as strong as the others. And I've committed in the week what I'm going to be doing. And I know the reason why. I know my value, why it's important to me. And they're not in themselves. They're each part of this strategy, as it were, is not huge. But the cumulative, and I can never say this word, add it all together and you get more than the sum of the parts. The whole is more than the sum of the parts. Or the sum of the parts, I don't know, you know what I mean. But you get more out of this. And each one is really quite easy to do. You just need to commit. And commit to you, because no one else is going to, are they? Because you're you. And the thing is, you're worth it. And you're going to create not only a good life for yourself, you're going to create good life or good lives for other people, because they're going to see you. You're going to be that shining example. Because if you can do it, they can do it. And if other people have done it, you can do it. It's not rocket science. But I don't want it to be intellectual either. And you take action. Take massive, intuitive action on this. I would love to know what you think of all of this, because this is a subject I'm never 100% certain that we've gone into this deep enough, but we can go on digging and digging and digging and not take action. And I want you to do something. I want you to take action. And then if we need to, we'll dig into it deeper after that. So I'm never satisfied with these type of part ones and part twos, because I always think there's a bit more to do. But I also know the more we do in our thoughts, we can get more overwhelmed. And then we have this wonderful thing that we call self-sabotage, which doesn't exist, I don't think. Just that we don't know the values. We don't know what's important to us. Or we don't know the away-froms. We don't know those negative beliefs, the effect of the experiences of life that we had. But when you put your effort into this, you'll find them, and you'll overcome them, and you'll use them. That's the whole thing. It's not about overcoming or battling them. It's just about using the learnings, understanding. And sometimes you don't even get them consciously, but your unconscious mind does. You, the unconscious mind, can just understand this and spur that conscious mind into just doing this, allocating the time in the week. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be consistent. So, I'd love to hear from you. You know that. I just said that. Feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Send me an email. If there's more things that you need to know about this, put it on the email. Give me some feedback so we can dive deeper into another specific area. If there's an issue that's not really, I haven't dealt with well enough, let me know and I'll try to improve upon it. Because we're all learning. This is one of my bits that I want to keep improving on. And hopefully we will grow together. Well, I know we will. So enjoy, send me that feedback, and have more fun than you can stand, because it's worth it. And wherever you think you are, you're more than that, because you're worth it. Have fun. Until next time, this is your mate Paul. Bye now. Thanks for listening, guys. That was really good. I really appreciate you being here. And I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, a couple of favours really, in as much as I'd like you to share this podcast. Share it in a few ways. One is I'd like you to just share it with your friends. Share it with people that you know, anybody you think it may help, because that would be awesome. Spreading the word, spreading the community of this Personal Development Unplugged. Also, I'd like you to share your thoughts with me. Share your thoughts, your feedback, the things you enjoyed, the things you'd like me to do differently, the things you'd like me to explore even deeper, maybe more things like depression, loneliness, or happiness, or good stuff. They're all good. But if there's things you'd like to give me feedback on, that would be awesome. Just email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Anything and everything would be awesome. And if I use it, obviously, total anonymosity. Anonymosity? You'll be anonymous. Also, if you could just go to the platform that you listen to this podcast on and give a review, if you would. On iTunes, there's a capability of giving a 5-star review. That would be awesome. And just subscribe on any of those platforms so you get them on a Wednesday, get on a Saturday, and you don't have to look for them. Get other people to subscribe. That would be great, because that helps push this around to other people too. And as you know, as always, I have a different set of programs on a website called paulcloughonline.com. Got lots of different stuff that, I know you have to pay for, but that's just a different thing. They're more involved, they're more detailed, and they're more structured. Just have a look at the website and the programs on offer. I think you'll find they're of interest. You've even got one which has its own 5-day free start, as it were. And sometimes you even just let go of your anxiety listening to those 5 days. Have a listen to that. And lastly, and not leastly, those hypnosis tracks. Just go along to that paulcloughonline.com/podcast and you'll have access to all the hypnosis tracks that have been produced for this podcast. They're all there. They're all in order. They're all numbered and they're downloadable. You don't have to search through 300 odd podcasts to find the hypnosis track you want. They're all there. And you might find something even that you didn't think of. And it's just right for you now. So do that. Have more fun than you can stand. And I'm going to be speaking to you real soon. But thank you for your time.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.